So, my name is Abdallah Shalabi. I'm going to be your host today. And today, actually, we changed the structure. So, usually we have 3 sessions. Today, we're going to have 2 sessions. So, I'm the co-founder of Tishishmi. And we started the StartupQ8 back in July. It was just a blog, actually. And then we started to become an event, starting from September. And then actually we just added also a meetup. So every Monday we are meeting. It's like a duania, but for startups. So we meet every Monday. So please join us. So today we're gonna have Burhan, and we're gonna have Coach Busita guys. So they didn't arrive yet. Just let me. Who's the first timers here in StartupQ8? Nice. Okay. Who came twice at least? Okay. Nice. Okay. Thank you. So. Let me just give you a little bit background why we started StartupQ8 and what we are trying to do. So basically, when we first started, I came back to Kuwait. I was doing a startup in Spain, and I didn't find any entrepreneurs or developers or whoever that I can share with my passion. So I started this blog, but when I started the blog, I didn't have like not much reach. So there's like 50 people that read my blog every day. But then people started to come, leave a comment like, Mayan and Nijbil. So I started to meet people. And actually I wanted to meet more people, so what I did is starting the event. And with the event I started to meet a lot of people, and we started to become a team. So all of us are actually volunteers. We're working now on StartupQ8. We have many members. They are all helping us. Everyone can actually help us and join StartupQ8 and this movement. And the only thing we want to do is like to gather entrepreneurs, developers, like designers, all people passionate about entrepreneurship in one place and just learn from each other. Because like I believe everyone has something that we can learn from. So this is what we're trying to do, and to put everyone in just one room. So let us just get started with Burhan. So, yeah, Burhan.
Thank you. Thank you everyone for coming.
You have your slides?
I have my slides, but I need to set them up. So why don't you entertain them?
Okay. Just give us a background about yourself.
All right. Show of hands. Anyone who doesn't know me? Oh, okay. All right. Okay. So my name is Burhan Khalid. As you said, I'm actually a developer. I was a developer for 8 years in the U.S., Saudi Arabia, of course here in Kuwait. And these days, as is the natural case with careers, you stop doing what you love and you start managing people who hate to do the same thing that you were doing. So I've graduated from being a developer to these days I work at a bank and I manage their development of all their systems that have to do with electronic banking. Personally, I'm a big fan of movements like StartupQ8, open source initiatives. I volunteer a lot of my time giving training to schools, universities, especially to teachers, teach them how to teach IT. Sometimes you have to teach them first how to use their own computer, and then you have to teach them how to teach IT. So I got in touch. I don't even remember how we bumped into each other, but I think I landed at Kuwait.
I think Elmir or something.
Yeah, he's the 6 degrees of separation guy, Mohammed Elmir over there, who we all know. And I don't know, somehow I got roped into giving a talk today, and hopefully it will be relevant to everyone. I've been accused of giving very tech-heavy talks, so I forced myself to give a talk that has nothing to do with tech, tech terms, I should say. It has to do with technology, obviously. So hopefully you guys will enjoy it.
Okay, so this is going to be really different than anything before.
Yeah,
so if you want to stop Burhan, ask him questions,
it's going to be
give
very
feedback.
interactive. So before I begin and I begin to set up, just one question. Who here is afraid of public speaking? Great. This means I can ask everyone questions, and you will not have a problem answering me. This is the man. It's going to go by in 5 minutes, maybe 10 minutes.
Can you repeat the question?
Who is afraid of public speaking?
Just joking.
So now answer. All right. So, well, I'm still calling you, but maybe not the first person, second person. All right. Because I'm a geek, I don't like using PowerPoint. So just give me a second to get started, and hopefully everything will go fine. Also, can anyone hear me if I don't use the mic?
Yes. No, it's not good for the camera.
Oh.
Use the mic.
Right, never mind. Okay, I'll use the mic. Okay.
Fine.
We'll try something really quick. No, this doesn't work. All right. So, the title of my talk is IT Basics for Startups. Anyone here not have a startup? All right, great. So this will still be relevant to you. Anyone here not from the IT background? Yes. Oh, thank God. Okay. So no one here can say I'm saying something wrong. All right. So, just some basic housekeeping before we begin. First of all, this is not a sales pitch, so I'm not going to try to sell you some credit cards. Okay? This is not about products. Okay? The worst thing that I have faced myself is when IT people come, they start talking about products. But what I'm going to share with you today are ideas. Ideas revolving IT and startups that you can find hopefully relevant to whatever startup that you're doing. And hopefully some of these will ring true with you. Okay, as I said in the beginning, so ask me any questions during the course of the presentation. And the last thing, I just wrote it half an hour ago. This presentation is geared towards non-technology-based startups. Because if you're a technology-based startup, you don't need me to tell you about IT and startups, right? Okay, so here we go. This is today's agenda. It's going to be very, very short. Hopefully it's going to be fun. We're going to start off with the top 5 mistakes that startups make when it comes to IT. All right, and here's one I'm going to ask for your audience participation. Okay, then we're going to find out how do you use IT to create value for your organization. How can IT actually help you instead of becoming a barrier? Simple steps. Again, it's non-technical. Okay, I'm going to give a short talk about open source because this seems to come up whenever you talk about startups. This is not some magic sauce. I'll explain what it is. The next thing is something that people always ask me help with is, hey, I'm trying to hire a programmer. Can you interview him for me? All right. So what I'll do is I'll give you some tips to use when you're trying to hire a company to help you with your IT side of your startup. Basically, what questions to ask that don't have to do with the technical side. Finally, summarize the whole presentation. Hopefully, give you guys some takeaways that you can take home. All right. This is the #1 IT mistake that people make with startups. Okay. Everyone read that, right? It's big enough. Okay. So, what do I mean by that? People think that they will not be successful unless one of the founders is an IT superhero, or what's the word today? IT ninja. This couldn't be far from the truth. Okay? So that's the #1. If you believe this, remove this from your mind. #2. What startups tend to do is they lose focus and start concentrating either too much on the IT side or way too little on the IT side. And they're both dangerous. I'll explain to you what that means. That's #2. And #3, they fall in love. I don't mean with each other. I mean with their IT. They become so enamored with the tech and the gizmo behind it, they realize the primary function of a startup, which is what?
Make money.
That's the 3rd or 4th. Thank you for your contribution.
Start.
Sorry?
Start.
Stand?
I mean, the primary function is to start.
Is to start. Okay. But why do you start a startup? It's not a trick question.
So add value.
To add value, there's one. Yes, I know you know it.
Become famous.
There are lots of startups that don't manage to do that.
Solve a problem.
Solve a problem. There you go. So the primary goal of a startup is to solve a problem. This does not help you solve the problem. Now, you're going to laugh, but they also don't kiss. This is not what you're thinking. But I'll explain what that is. And finally, this is the most concentrated thing, this is the most IT-related top 5, is they do development, they realize they need to do development, but they don't know how to do it correctly. So it falls short. So why are these my top 5? Okay? So the #1 thing, which is the biggest misconception. The reason this is the biggest misconception is the value that you generate when you're a startup has nothing to do with IT, unless you're making a new kind of switch or a new kind of chip. or a new kind of board. So what makes a startup successful has very rarely have to do with IT. If you take the most successful startups in the world, you'll find out when they started out, they had some of the most poorly executed IT plans, which is why as soon as they get some money, they start going and hiring engineers. Okay? So the number one thing that will affect your startup success is your focus on the solution that you're trying to develop. Okay? And that focus will never come from a guy who's never taken a business class, who's never moved his face away from a computer, who's an IT nerd. In fact, what people tend to do, as a shortcut, is let their developers write their error strings that show up on the website whenever you have a mistake. And this is another policy that you should do. So the bottom line is, not having an IT guru as your startup founder is not the end of the world if you're a startup. Because again, the business problem you're trying to solve, IT is just a tool. It's not the beginning and the end of it. Okay? So the next thing that they do is either if you have both founders that are highly IT motivated, they'll start paying way too much attention to the how and not enough attention to the why. People will never buy your product if you tell them the how or the what. They will always buy it if you explain to them the why. And especially if they can relate to your why. And when you start concentrating on IT, you lose focus of that. Okay. Anyone knows what I mean by why?
Why he has to buy his product?
Yeah.
The benefits of the product?
No, that's the what. Okay, let me give you an example. If I'm going to sell you a car, what will I say? This is a car. It has 4 doors. It has a great engine. It's good for family. This is all the what and the how, but it's not the why. Right?
How will it benefit a person?
Now let me give you an example of a why. Look at how Apple advertises their products. This is music. This is what you need. It's simple. And you want it in your life, here is the product. So you start from the why and you move all the way out to the what. But when you do it this way, you tend to go reverse. Okay? Sounds a little, but I'll explain it. Okay? They're falling in love. And what happens here is what I was explaining, is that what they tend to get involved with and try to do is jam as much of their technology, their impetus, their energies on the technical side, and they lose sight of why they're doing it in the first place. Because they think the more features I add in, people are going to love it. Again, wrong. This is the wrong thing you can do. They don't keep it simple, which tends to fall in line with that. What do I mean by that? This is one of those things where, okay, we don't know what's going on, so let's just dump every feature that our feedback gave us and just add it in and let's see where it goes. Again, wrong. So, I say, all right, we're not IT guys, all right, we're business people, so we don't need to worry about good development practices. But this is one of the basic fundamental things that ruins the quality of your products. And I'll explain what that means. Okay? So now what? All right. So what next? What do I do? So how do I get out of this mindset? How do I make sure I don't make these mistakes? So here are some things that you can do. First of all, understand that IT is a tool. Okay? It's just like a hammer or a saw. Okay? And you can use it well, or you can just simply use it. So today I'm going to teach you how to use it well, not just simply use it. All right? The reason you want to do that is if you use IT well, it will make your startup agile. And the reason that's important is one of the big words I learned when I attend these meetings is something called pivot. So if you want to pivot around on your startup, you need to be agile. You cannot have your IT stopping you from trying a variation of your product. You're dead in the water. Okay? So when you have all those things together, it means IT becomes your enabler. It becomes your ace in the hole. It becomes the one thing that you have that no one else has. And this is one of the biggest keys to your success. All right, so enough talk. So now what? Okay, here we go. This is going to be interesting. There's no best. Everyone agrees with that? Can anyone tell me there's the best hammer? No, right? There's the best paint? So why would you think there's the best IT or the best solution for it? There isn't. What works for Facebook? Probably, most likely, will not work for you. What worked for Instagram will not work for you. because you're not Instagram, you're not solving their problems, you're solving your own problem. Okay. So keep in mind, the goal of your startup is to solve a problem. It's not to impress your friends. Okay? The only one who cares how smart you are is your mother. No one else cares about it. All right? Okay. So you're like, all right, Burhan, enough scolding, tell us what to do. Okay, here's what you do. Simple things. Okay? And this is where I need audience participation. Separate your problem into 3 areas. Whatever it is that you're doing. Okay? Never let any of the 3 areas sit on the same computer and spend money on them in the order that's listed. So now, who wants to be number 1 and tell me what the first most important thing when it comes to IT of your startup is supposed to be? Stunned silence. What?
Web presence.
Web presence. That's the last thing that should come.
I think
Yes.
it should be user-friendly.
That goes in line with the web presence. Okay. Think about what you're trying to solve. The problem, right? In a startup, you're trying to solve a problem. Okay, so the first thing you're trying to get right is your core. It's whatever the business problem you're trying to solve. Right? For example, if you're trying to figure out the best way to build a building, the first thing you don't worry about is how it's going to look or where the cement is going to come from. The first thing you worry about is, okay, what is the thing that I'm trying to improve? This is the core. This is the value that you're bringing. Right? So this is the first thing that's most important. Is your business process. It's the code. When they say code, this is what they mean. Okay? Second thing that's most important is the stuff that you collect. It's your data. Without this, you cannot do any of those lovely things that these guys will tell you to do, which is run out of the building and check. You cannot run out of the building and find out what your customers think if you don't have the data collected in place to compare. Okay? Last but not least, it's the front end. It's the web. It's the look and feel. And you're like, okay, but why is that? Can anyone tell me why that is? Why that is the last thing you should worry about? Yes?
It can always be adjusted later.
It can always be adjusted later. It's the easiest thing to adjust later. Okay? It's by far. Can you say it again?
It can be adjusted later. It's the easiest thing to
It's
fix.
the easiest thing to adjust later. So conversely, the hardest thing to adjust is number 1. And what I find when people come talk to me, they're all worried about, is it going to look right? But no one thought to think, okay, are you collecting the data that you need? Does it actually do what you want? All right? So here we go. So what is it that you should do? All right? Again, we have the same kind of slide. Keep in mind that number 1 and number 2 are your core assets. Okay? If your company ever shuts down and you lose everything, but you have number 1 and number 2, you can always start up again. But if you just have your website and you lost your code and you don't have the data, what are you going to do? Right? So the idea here is get your priorities in order. Okay? Don't worry about the interface when you're starting out. Worry about, are you solving the problem first? And you will realize that this doesn't take weeks and years and months. This is maybe a 1-2 day job. Okay? Don't ignore your look and feel, obviously. This is your interface of your system. But keep in mind, the user experience is something completely different than the user interface. You can have a brilliant user interface, okay, and leads to a very, very poor user experience. Make sense? Okay, so don't confuse them. All right, moving right along. So, the next part you have to do, once you have your code, your data in place, you have to figure out, because you're a startup, and because you have a lot of questions and theories, how are you going to measure the results of your efforts? So, decide what is it that's actually important to your business that you want to measure. Okay? Decide on it early. Measure it rightly and measure it often. If you don't do these two, 9 times out of 10, you'll have a really nice experience to talk about. You can come up here and give talks. Okay? This is not your site counter. This is not Google Analytics. Okay? So I'll just expand on this a little bit. So you're like, okay, forget everything you know. Okay, imagine there's no Google Analytics in the world. There's no graphs, there's no site counters, there's no nothing. Okay? These are the 7 things you need to worry about the most. in any business when it comes to IT, it becomes what you want to track. I see a lot of confused looks, so I'll go through it. The customers that you have, number 1. How many visitors are hitting your website? Number 2. How many visitors converted? This is your registration. Number 3. How many did the key activity of your business? Ordered something, made a booking, went on a fishing trip. How many bought? Or how many are just registered? How many referrals you got? And what is your average selling price? Okay? If you forget all this, all your efforts that you're doing should be geared towards improving those 7 things that you're collecting. And you need to kill anything that you're developing that does not positively affect those 7 areas. Everything else is just going to confuse you. They're vanity statistics. They're there to make it look like you're doing a good job, but unless you're tracking those 7 things, it's not going to affect you. Okay? So, there are some signs that things may have gone wrong in your startup. You start working backwards. You start worrying about the look and feel first, without worrying about how it's going to run, without worrying about what you're going to collect. Stop and think about what you're doing. Focus on the problem that you're trying to solve. The problem you're trying to solve is not how to make the prettiest website in the world. The problem you're trying to solve is whatever idea that you have that you want to execute. The second thing is you start worrying about speed and you don't have any statistics. Now, okay, I'm going to help you out and give you some free advice. Right now, right here. These are the top 3 things that will kill any web-based IT product or service. I don't care what you're doing. Ready? Okay? It's the database. Once you optimize that, then you go back and you optimize the database again. Because this is the one thing beyond anything else that will slow you down. And, ironically, this is the last place people check. This is the first place you should check. And then you don't have a cache. A cache is like a small hard drive that stores whatever your system is doing, so it doesn't have to go do it again. Okay? Signs you're doing it right. So, those are signs you're doing it wrong. Here's how I know you're doing it right. You know that the only thing that differs between you and the next guy who copied you is that you know your IT very well. You can tomorrow go ahead and switch and launch a new version of your product. He has to wait 7 days. Okay? There's your competitive edge. You reduce your time to market, obviously, and you reduce, I made this up. This is not a TTMVP. I made this up. Okay? So don't go on quoting that to anyone. This is time to MVP, which is the, someone tell me, minimum viable product. This is basically the infrastructure you get going just to show that your idea works. Okay? You can pivot, and the key thing is you can still deliver value in minimal time. This is what your investors are going to look for. They're not going to wait for you 6 months to pivot, and then by that time your pivot is.
Okay, I have a question.
Yeah.
Does everyone understand what is a pivot is?
It's not the literal meaning.
Yeah, but like it's worth explaining. Like why you keep repeating pivot.
Okay.
Pivot. What does it mean?
Why IT is important when you're trying to pivot is because.
No, what is pivot?
Okay. Pivot is you're going towards, you're trying to develop one solution to a problem, and then you realize based on your feedback, market research, customer complaints, mostly, that this is the wrong way to do it, and you want to completely switch around your execution of the problem. Is that a fair enough? I'm not a marketing guy, so go ahead.
No, it's just like when you start a company that you're gonna have a lot of assumptions. You think you're doing the right thing, and after talking to the first customer, you realize you're doing something stupid and you need to change.
Most likely.
So you need to change everything. So you need to change really fast. So that's why, like in a website, when you're doing, okay, you're not building a product like in a manufacturing plant. So it's really easy to change in a website. And
yeah, but if you have the wrong IT to start with,
Exactly.
you're going to get stuck trying to change.
So you should be really fast in changing.
So you need to be fast when you have to change. And one of the key things that you can do to make yourself fast is make sure the technology that's running behind it is simple, is to the point, it's understood by everyone. Thank you. Good question. All right. Sometimes I'll just put keywords up there, all right, because this is a business thing. So, but I know what pivot is. Right? So the majority of your time, if you're doing it right, is spent optimizing your business process, obviously, because this is really what you want to do. If you're doing these 4 things, you're doing the right things when you're in a startup. Okay, but if you're wasting your time trying to figure out bugs in your code, okay, that haven't resulted from a pivot, you're wasting your time. So one of the good things is when you're doing IT right, you get to spend your time on doing things that actually add value to your business. Makes sense, right? Let's see, stunned silence. Okay. So how do I go about doing all this? All right, here we go. Okay, don't reinvent the wheel. All right, first of all, I see this all the time. There's only so many ways you can write a feedback form, guys. All right, you're not going to reinvent a new feedback form. Okay, unless your entire startup's purpose is to reinvent the feedback form. All right, make sense? All right, there is a lot of code that is legally free. It's not Hawali edition. Legally free for you to use. Okay, that you should utilize because it's been written by lots of very, very, very smart people. I'll talk about that in the next slide. Use something that someone else has already chewed on and figured out does it taste good or not. Don't try to, unless again, your whole startup is, you want to reinvent a technology stack. But generally, it's not what you want to do. If you do, talk to me, because I want to be part of your team. Right? Attend geeky events. I promise, we're very nice people. And the reason I want you to do that is because you need to be aware, as a startup founder, what's out there that you can leverage. Okay? And ask. Don't be shy about asking. So, I promised I'd talk about open source, because there's a lot of misconceptions about what open source actually is. First of all, it's not free. The open in open source comes from the freedom that you have into using the software. Okay? Everyone realize that? I know most open source software is free, but that is not the primal reason for having open source software. Open source software means that you are not tied down into someone else's thinking of what is best for you. Make sense? No? Okay. I see a lot of
examples of open source.
I'll give you an example of what a closed source software is. Okay? My favorite example is Microsoft. Okay. If you have dedicated your business to utilizing Microsoft's stack, which usually means you're using Windows, some server that runs on Windows, some database that runs on Windows, and typically some programming language that Microsoft built. Okay? Now, everything is working fine for you. Great. Tomorrow, Microsoft decides that it's better for them to change something of the code that you have been using for 5, 7, 8 years. You have no choice. You have to either upgrade and follow the path, or go back and re-engineer everything. Okay. However, if you are using open source based components, you have the assurance that should something fall down or break, everything is available for you. It's in a standard that everyone understands, so you can hire anyone else to come in and pick up where Microsoft left off, for example. Okay?
Can we say you don't need a license to use open source?
That is not always true. There are various different kinds of licenses for open source products.
But generally speaking,
one of the primary reasons people go for open source is because it's free.
Why?
You can download it, you can make money off of it legally, and no one's going to come and sue you later on.
Why?
But that's not the value behind it. That's just a side effect. The real value is in terms of business value. When you're developing your product and service, you want to be assured that 10, 20 years down the line, my investment that I have made now will not be devalued because I am, a slave to someone else's marketing policies or whatever they have. Okay? And you're never tied down to anyone or anything. I know I see a lot of confused faces. This is one of the most technical slides I have. Okay, I'll continue. This is the next part, finding IT talent. I'm sure this will be relevant to everyone. Okay, I love this quote. It says, I'm not rich enough to afford free stuff. What that actually means is, if it's too good to be true, it's going to end up costing you in the end. Okay? All right. That applies to everything, not just ITs or startups. The wrong IT skills will cost you more. Because by the time you find out, you'll already be in one of the stages of your startup where it's going to be very expensive and very difficult in terms of time constraint or technical complexity for you to fix something. Okay? And it's much, much worse if you have to switch between IT providers. So it's to your benefit that you pick the right IT provider from the start. Here are some tips that you can use. Okay, so you need to ask these questions. The first one is very simple. You need to make sure that whoever you choose is transparent in what they're doing for you. So ask them, hey, do you have a project management system that I can log in, find out where my tasks are that I have raised, who's working on them, can I provide you feedback? Okay. Can I adjust my specifications as we go along? Simple questions. Transparency is important. That's why you ask the first question. Okay. You want to be completely aware of what that company is doing on your, because essentially you are at their mercy. Okay, so you want to be as transparent as possible. The other thing is you want to make sure that the company is flexible enough, because as you pivot, as you learn more about your business, you're going to have lots of change, and it may be something completely different to what you guys started when you first hired the company. So you have to make sure that they are flexible, they will work with you, they understand that you're a startup, that you don't have boatloads of money to spend. Okay, make sure you get these in the beginning. Okay, these are also some other things you need to ask. Can anyone tell me why any of these are important? Okay. Anyone take a guess? Yes, sir.
The second one's important because that's your proprietary knowledge, right?
Sorry?
The second one is important because that's your proprietary knowledge.
Yes, that's your IP, exactly. You want to make sure that the company that's developing your software will release it to you so that they cannot go ahead and sell it and white label it and sell it off later on. Okay, it's your private app. So let me just go through these really quickly. Okay, so the number one thing is very, very basic. In the end, it's not the technology, it's the people working for you, right? So if you can have that one-on-one connection, if you go and talk and sit with people, a lot of times, a lot of stuff gets miscommunicated through emails, IMs, and video chat. But if you have that connection, if you can explain to someone over a cup of coffee what you're trying to do, it's always better. Okay? So try to get that in. It's it's difficult, but not impossible. I have seen it done. Okay? Rights released was already mentioned, so you own your own IP. The next two are very simple. You want to make sure that whenever that company is done, you are able to move forward with whatever they have developed. That's where open source comes in a lot. You need to make sure they give you the knowledge transfer and the training, okay? And how they're gonna, like the documentation they're gonna provide is gonna be like 5 pages stapled together. It's gonna be comprehensive documentation. If you don't remember any of this, documentation is the most important. It's the one thing that will save you. Okay, that's the end of my presentation. Here are some conclusions that you need to take, okay? So, this is basically a summary of what I talked about. People will never buy your service for the what. They'll always buy your service for the why. Okay? Keep that in mind. Always be focused. I'm going to skip the second one. All right. Everyone cares about the problem you're trying to solve. No one really cares. None of your customers will care that you use the latest fancy Ruby on Rails, whatever XYZ, ABC, .NET, Google Gaga. No one cares about that. All they care about is when I click plus or buy, does it work? And if it fails, you will never get the chance to blame the technology, right? So get that right. Always, always, always stay focused on the problem you're trying to solve. That is your entire purpose as a startup. It's not to impress your friends. They will be impressed if you solve their problem. They will not be impressed if you go around in your server room, open it up, and show them, oh, I have all these machines, but when I click buy on the mobile app, it doesn't work. Right? Okay. Remember, you don't need to have the best IT or the large amount of money or even the expertise to make the best stuff. I have a small story here that will highlight it for you. Everyone knows the Wright brothers?
Yes.
First manned flight. Right? Okay. By the time the Wright brothers were coming along, the US Department of Defense had a huge budget, and they allocated to this professor from New York who was an expert in aerodynamics, physics, everything, to find out about powered manned flight. Wright brothers had a bicycle shop. Okay? This guy went around, he hired the best minds that you could hire. Okay? He went at it as hard as he could. Wright brothers volunteered. None of them was college educated, neither Wilbur nor Orville, right? Okay? Whenever they went out with their contraption, they took 5 sets of spare parts because that's how often it crashed and they had to build it again. Okay? But they were the first ones to have manned flight. And no one knew about it till the next day. Okay? Why am I telling you this story? It doesn't take money or the best resources or the best IT to be successful. You need to believe in the why. Okay? And if you believe in the why, everything else is inconsequential. Okay, by the way, the day they made that announcement, the next day the scientist quit. Because he wasn't in it for the why, he was in it for the money. And it will happen exactly for you as well. If you're in it for the money, the first time you find out someone else is doing the exact same thing that you're doing, you're gonna, oh man. And then you're gonna, stop doing whatever you're doing. Keep that in mind. All right. Network out. Okay. Keep yourself up to date. Be smart about who you hire. Okay. A solution for everyone is a solution for no one. Okay. Again, focus on the problem you're trying to solve. Don't add features just because you're trying to please everyone. Okay. If you don't remember anything else, remember this. Sorry, last slide. All right. These are the 3 things. The order is important, and that's my contact information if you need to get in touch.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. So we'll have 10 minutes for questions. Any questions? Yes, Faisal.
Yes.
Thank you, Burhan, for the presentation. In terms of open platform, open source platform, do I have to worry about the system security of my website or?
The system security of your website, when you use a proven stack, it's not one of your primary concerns. Majority of security problems happen at the very basic core things that people try to reinvent.
So if you have to decide whether you go to the closed platform or open source platform.
No, that should not be your deciding factor. Security should not be your deciding factor. Okay, does that answer your question? By the way, statistics have shown that open source software is quicker to catch and fix security bugs, and Java is slower to catch security bugs. Java is closed source, obviously. Yeah. Yes, questions?
I wanted to ask about, should we worry that much about if our technological startup would scale internationally from the first time? Like, we have to worry about security, we have to worry about 1 million users, 10 million users.
Let me ask you something.
Or is it, can I
explain
you just a bit? We can also worry about making it scalable, easily scalable. And
in the grand scheme of things, the very first thing you need to do is make sure it works. Second thing you need to do, make sure you're collecting the information that you need to collect. Because your value is these 2 things. Okay? The last thing you need to do is work. Because there's that if you build a better mousetrap, people will come knocking on your door. There's some saying like that in English. The point is, if you're successful, okay, then you will have proven it to yourself, and you will have the resources to scale. But if when you're starting out, you don't have an MVP, and the first question on your mind is, oh, what if Google level traffic comes to me, you're wasting your time. Don't worry about it. Don't worry. If you have chosen a proven stack, that's why it's important.
We have a comment from Mir.
Yes.
Let me add to your answer.
Yes.
If you're the founder of LinkedIn has a quote that says, if you're not embarrassed by your first product when you first launched it, then you've launched too late. So, in short, of course, don't let worrying about Google scale stop you from shipping your MVP.
That is the last thing that should be on your mind.
Okay. Question? Yes.
Hi. I want to ask you something. If you don't have enough money to hire, let's say, an IT company, and you will depend on IT or freelancer, okay? So the website will be professional enough to use like other websites?
The level of quality that you get almost never depends on how much money you spend. I'll give you a very easy example of that. Okay. Mercedes-Benz and Kia, they're both certified to the same quality management standard, which means someone else has gone in and ensured that the quality of the Mercedes factory and the quality of the Hyundai factory is exactly the same. They follow the exact management quality standards. But the product you get out of a Mercedes factory is different than the product you get out of a Hyundai factory. Is that correct? Correct. So the point here is that don't think that the company that's going to ask you for the most money is going to give you the best product. Because in the end, they're giving you the same product.
Okay, but then if you depend on someone who's, let's say, locally in Kuwait, but let's say you depend with a freelancer in India or China, okay? So he do the work and maybe he miss out or do something wrong. So how can you fix that problem and you don't have any IT background?
Okay. When you start off and you have an idea and you realize early on that this is one of your weaknesses, that you don't have an IT background, and you realize that this is somewhere where I am, let's say, I need help. That's where you come to forums like these and you ask volunteers to come and help you out.
Okay, I have a follow-up question.
Yes.
Like many entrepreneurs in Kuwait, they outsource development of the website.
Yeah.
What is your idea about this?
Outsourcing is good, but the more you outsource, the more you have to be very good at managing.
Yeah, but like all of the problems you mentioned actually comes with when you're outsourcing to stop.
That's why I had the slide when the slide I talked about hiring people. This is what you need to keep in mind when you're outsourcing.
I mean, when you go with a company, you can't change. Like you're stuck with whatever you signed in the first, like after 6 months, they're gonna give you they deliver the project after 6 months.
Yeah.
You actually want something completely different, probably.
Okay.
Because
to insure yourself against that, you ask your company first of all what is the documentation and the training they're going to provide. Okay. Because keep in mind that no matter which company you use, the first product you get, you will end up changing it. This is just the nature of your business.
Yeah, I know. So
right.
I think we need to change this mentality at least. Like I'm really against going with a company.
No,
to be honest.
There are lots of benefits with not going with a company. Okay, if you can find the IT talent, my recommendation is grab someone by the neck, offer them like chips and soda, they'll work for you.
Like even a freelancer, maybe.
Even a freelancer.
I think it's better to go freelancer with a company because a company you need to sign papers, you can't change anything.
See, there's this
a freelancer you can't.
There's this stigma that a freelancer will be less effective than a company, which is not true. There are lots of very, very, very talented freelancers out there that will work their heart out, especially if you can convince them on the why. Okay, than companies. Companies are in for the money.
Yeah,
there are some companies that are IT powerhouses that have a special division that caters only to startups. They don't talk to you about money at all. They go through you from beginning to end, and of course what they ask for is what?
Kuwait?
And equity.
Yeah, but we don't have this kind of stuff. Kuwait.
I always say that
you need
someone needs to come and start it.
You need to do it, I think. Okay,
yes.
Is there a web design company employee in the house that might want to respond? I'm just curious.
Yeah, go ahead.
Hi, so I'm basically into IT side of things, mostly into project management.
Closer.
So just recently have my startup, and I'm right now in Kuwait just to get its roots and grow deeper. So freelancing is a tough game unless you know you're really good at it. And the scale of the business is really, really important. You're going for a bigger business which really requires technology expertise. You need multiple technology expertise. Going with a freelancer, the problem is with dependability. Right? How long can you depend on him? Next day when he gets a better job, he's fully engaged. Right? These are the questions. The second question is about the service. You build a product on day one. And as Burhan rightly mentioned, you're definitely going to change it, right? So you need someone who can come along with you. There is a price for it. There is a cost for it, okay? Who will come with you, he'll change it for you, right? There's a cost involved. How much can you do it with a freelancer? You can do a small website, I'm fine. You can do a small web app, you can do an Android app, everything is fine. But how much your business is depending on this freelancer? If he is with you for long, it's good for you. But that's the main issue.
I think what you're hinting at is a technical co-founder.
I think it's the only solution. You need to have a co-founder in the team. Yeah.
Yes.
You know, the point you made about the why, I think it's a very important factor. I'd like to emphasize on that. Coming back to even addressing the outsource, even if you're looking at whoever you're going to make possible to work with you, it has to be for a purpose. And when you have that purpose very clearly, I think it would make a big difference on how you would achieve whatever you achieve. You know, any technical element is only a tool to achieve an objective. Our objective is not an output, it's an outcome. And if we manage to understand, the why, which is very important because the values and the inner purpose that everyone has when he starts his business will make that why a value that your customer will value also. And that becomes the ingredient for success.
Yeah, which is true, but when in a startup, you're starting something completely new, you don't know your customers, you don't know if you're addressing a real problem or not. So you're gonna end up changing in the way until you reach a real model that you can you understand your customers, you know your market, now you can just execute, But the whole period, maybe it's a year or 18 months until you reach this time, you're gonna be changing the whole time, and I'm seeing it.
Yeah, but
already.
let me just ask you one question.
So
Everyone agrees that startups change, correct?
Yeah.
But do you ever change your why?
That's what the metrics are for. Sorry to jump in. That's why I think the most interesting slide we had was the one with the metrics.
The 7 things?
The seven metrics.
Yeah.
And basically that's what you need to measure, in my opinion at least, to understand if you are answering the why in a
Correct.
proper way.
Yeah. And to add to that, those are the 7 things that you should concentrate on the most, and those are the things that people concentrate on the least. A lot of the statistics that you get.
Can we have them again?
Can we have them?
Yeah, sure. The
By
value statistics.
the way, you said you are not using PowerPoint. What is this?
This is a startup. No. This is a website. This is actually a one HTML page that uses HTML5.
Okay.
Sorry, where are you? There we go.
Okay,
This is the
so
slide.
keep them in. We're gonna have one more question if there is. Otherwise, we're gonna close. You have your turn.
Yes, sir.
I have a comment with regard to the IT. Well, my name is Khalid Zeki. I'm a computer engineer. My background is solely about IT. And with regard to the concept of freelancing or co-founder or hiring a company, it depends on your objective before your why, I believe. Because I had some clients, they had issues with the freelancers where the freelancers, they just disappear. And they cannot do anything with regard to the website or the product they have developed. So they are stuck in the middle, so they would start again with maybe a new freelancer or a company. So instead, I personally prefer, going with the company, even if you pay a little bit premium on top of that, you have a proper documentation. That's number one. Even if the programmer decided to leave the company, still you have a backup as a company supporting you on the back end.
You have a very valid point, but one comment that I'd like to make on everyone who's talking about freelancer versus company. You know what I actually hear? Is okay, if I hire a company, I don't have to worry about it, which is never the case. You will always have to worry about it. So even with a freelancer, you need to be on top of what's going on. In the end, it's your baby, correct? So hiring a company and then the assurance that you're getting yourself is not that they're never going to be in it for the same reason you're in it for, correct? And if you are in it to the end and you truly believe in what you have started, and you're not there like that guy who just got the money to be the first one out, then you yourself will be vested enough to find out what is going on with my product. You will then attend these events. You will go there. You will educate yourself if you're not a tech. You don't need to be an expert, but you need to know the very, very basics of what's going on. What are the core things that can go wrong with my solution that I need to worry about? And even with a freelancer, even if you hire the best IT outsource company in the world, even if you get like Infosys, $1 billion company, you need to worry about it more. do not assume that the company is going to take over your words.
Okay, thank you, Burhan.
Sorry. Thank you very much, guys.
We have an announcement before we move on to the topics today.
Quick announcement. First off, thank you, Burhan, for a very, very informative talk. And if you guys need to talk to Burhan or other developers in Kuwait, the Google Developers Group meets every Wednesday. Burhan would be a great person to get in touch, and he'll be able to introduce you to some technical developers if you have an idea for an IT project. I have a quick question. Does anybody here have at least a small idea for a startup that they might want to launch in the coming few months? Yes? Okay, perfect. I wanted to tell everybody here about Startup Weekend. It's a non-profit initiative that we are having. We are hosting in Kuwait at the end of next week. It's from January 31st to February 2nd. What Startup Weekend is about is basically we combine non-technical people and technical developers and people who are in marketing and design to come up and pitch their ideas for the next web application or mobile application or other tech startup. And then they go into teams and they start to build those solutions in a competition format from Thursday night all the way up until demo day on Saturday. There will be prizes for the winners, and we have mentors, we have people there to provide you support.
Burhan is there, no?
Burhan will be there, you will be there. I know a few of the people here will be there. This is the website. All the details are there. Anybody is welcome to attend. You don't have to be technical, you don't have to have technical knowledge. Everybody is welcome to attend as long as you are passionate about creating a small startup project over a weekend.
Or helping
then
someone
this is for you. Or helping someone if you have the technical background, business background, marketing background, whatever background you have. If you want to work on this, it's a great way to start working on a startup idea.
It's free.
It is. It's not just free. We're actually going to feed you guys. So we're paying you to come in a way and kind of enjoy this. It'll be a great way to network with people. It'll be a great way to meet fellow founders. Maybe, who knows? Maybe you might even actually launch something that ends up becoming a company. So that would be great. If you have any questions on this, our website is kuwait.startupweekend.org. That's it right there. My name is Mijbil. You can find me on Twitter. You can come and talk to me afterwards. You know, I'm always available.
Also the Twitter handle, SWQ8.
SWQ8. That's right. That's a Twitter handle for the account.
So if you
I read those on a
join,
regular
just
basis.
give a shout out and see if you're coming.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. I look forward to welcoming you all there, and let's move on to the next segment.
Yes. Yeah. Move on. Yes. Can we have what was it?